way. So the reason why no one's tried to help Serge, or no one has tried, well, I don't know if that's the reason, but it could be contributed to the reason that no one's reached out to him, is because Scientology told their members that Serge had passed away. So we just, and then as soon as we started talking about that, we realized there's other people that they either lied about the circumstance of their passing away, or they made up a story about it to make them look like a criminal, so that Scientology wouldn't feel bad for that person, or it wouldn't put Scientology in a bad light. So anyway, so that's where we were at.
Yeah. And I also found a few people that are friends with Yuri on Facebook.
Yeah.
And copying Aaron's strategy a few years ago on making your sister, Mark, talk to your dad. I started messaging those people saying, hey, you need to message Yuri and tell him his brother is alive. Here's his phone number. You need to call him, because Aaron did that a few years ago when I was literally ready to just, I was going to make a mess and it worked.
Back in 97, when I left, you want to hear a conversation that I had with a deputy chief with the California Department of Forestry just yesterday, who was on a fire down in Anza, which is south of the base. He hadn't heard from me for a while. And the first thing out of his mouth was, dude, you remember what I told you when I first called you the day after I left the base? Yeah, Cap, I do. He goes, yeah, I was told you were dead. They literally had filed my personnel file as a firefighter, Riverside County Fire, after I left. And because what the church told them, that I was DEAD 6 feet under, it was weird to him talking to me on the phone. I'm like, Cap, It's me, Moorhead. It's me, Moorhead. He was like, no, you're dead. I was told you were dead. I was in Louisiana at the time, but that just goes to show how far back it goes. It's so intermixed in the interwebs of the Sea Organization. It's not limited. It's heavily carried out at the base, such as was done with Annie Tidman, who they continued to collect her birthday gift money from the staff after she passed on, to keep up appearances and not create waves within the staff. Yeah, you didn't hear about that from Ron Sr.?
No, they were collecting birthday money for her?
The RTC staff, 2 RTC girls went around collecting money to keep up appearances. So the ripple effect that would happen amongst the base, on the base, if they knew that Annie had passed on.
Wow.
Yeah, so this almost can go on and on. It's just to highlight
It's just something that I think for the longest time we thought it was just 1 or 2 instances where they kind of made up a story about somebody who had left or something. But now they're literally making up stories about people passing away, and that people haven't passed away when they have. It's just, I don't know. This is just a new, bizarre thing that I didn't think was so prevalent until we just started thinking of it. It's just like every single person here has an example, and you're like, what? Alex, in the UK, when somebody leaves, is there gossip that's spread around about the person, or do you hear through the whisper web, or how does that work there?
No, there were a couple of times a couple of people left, and it was just one of those, where's this person gone? They're like, oh, they left. And you kind of go, okay, I know not to ask any more questions then. Yeah. From that point, you're just in that headspace of, okay. Fine. Yeah,
asking questions is not a good idea.
Yeah. And there was a time, there was one person on staff that passed away in an accident on their way to the org. And the first day, we were all like, where is she? What is she doing? Like, angry that she's just not shown up to post one day. And then it was in the news the following day that she'd tragically been involved in an accident. And at that point, it was, okay, so we're just not going to talk about it now because it's end theta. And a couple of weeks later, we had a memorial service, and then that was it, never spoken of again. It's just the dehumanization and lack of emotion and care is prevalent throughout Scientology across the world. And I think this is just so clear. Like you're saying, this is new stuff coming out. We're hearing of these stories of lying about people passing away or not. It's new to us, but it's obviously been going on a very long time. You look at, Liz and Bob Ferris, that was 20 years ago. This is it's a systemic long-term thing they've been doing. We've only just found out about it now, and it just makes you think, well, what else do we not know about? that they are also doing right now.
Oh, what else?
And
you
even,
don't know?
even the Bob Ferris thing, when we were talking with Liz, we were talking with her like, what do you mean Bob called you? We thought, oh, if they were calling you to try to find Bob, then that means he probably blew. And she's like, but he couldn't have blown because he died in 2004. And we were sort of like, what are you talking about? Like, we were there in 2004. He was still there smoking Marlboro Reds and drinking coffee like when we were there in 2004. And that's where this thing started to sort of unravel, because we were like, why would they tell her that he had passed away? And the weird thing about the Bob thing is that he never wanted to disconnect from her. They made him disconnect from her. And then when and likely he did not plan to stay disconnected from her, and that's probably why they spun this tale.
Doesn't it make you question what they told him, though? Like, isn't it also likely they told him
Alex,
that
100% they told him, your daughter's attacking, she's doing this, she's doing that, she's doing all these things, because he has no way of knowing what she's doing. And so then that's why when she tries to contact him, he may or may not be the one saying, oh, I don't want to speak with her, I don't even have a daughter. You know, all these weird things that are just bizarre. So
they just control the information 100%. And when you're in, you think, okay, if it's anything external, OSA handles it, or the DSA office, which is the Department of Special Affairs in all the local places. So it's their job to keep all external distractions off of your line so that all you do is produce.
Yeah.
And so, you're trained not to know.
And Alex, to answer your question and to answer one question, it makes you wonder how much of this is going on. The amount of dirty laundry that lies amongst minimally the int base and then filter its way down through the rest of Scientology. In comparison to the volume of information, the Encyclopedia Britannica voluminous piece of information would be like a Post-it note compared to the information that lies unexposed within the Church of Scientology. And if Alex, if you were an int-based staff member and you had such a Liz sister complaining, you would have been pulled into an ethics officer's office, informed in a overbearing way of what's going on, and you would have been told you need to disconnect. You would have been isolated. It's just that's the way it works. It's not, what do you want to do? What would you like to do? Do you want to be with your daughter? Do you have maybe an answer that maybe would fix all this? Nope. It is simply forced down his gullet. And in their mind, they're just left aimlessly wandering. And out that Master at Arms office, they walk all confused and forever lost. But they know the consequences if they would have said the wrong thing. And that was, their world would be crashed down around them. Yeah. So the easy way out is to disown his own daughter.
Yeah.
And then now he's had 20 years of them in his ear telling him God knows what.
He's distracted by the musters and the projects, and he doesn't have to be there, out of sight, out of mind.
Well, let's not forget, they did call Liz looking for him.
Exactly.
So
they lost track of their own
that's
game.
what I'm saying. In the recent, sometime in the last, at least in the last month or two, there was a reason they were looking for him, and it wasn't because they knew where he was. So
ding, 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 ding.
If he tried to escape, that's the only. Jackson, is there any other reason to call a family member and say, "Do you know where this person is?"
Yeah, I don't think it was because he messed up on a projector or a tape player or something. No, it was because he did not show up to muster.
What's amazing is that whichever Sea Org member started this entire flap by accidentally calling Liz to look for her father, they gone.
They probably have an Australian accent by now.
Yeah, and for context, they didn't.
That's a good one, Gary. That's for anybody who doesn't know. For some reason, and maybe this was started by L. Ron Hubbard when Australia was whatever Australia was in the 60s, but if David Miscavige wants to get rid of somebody, he sends them to Australia. If he doesn't ever want to see them again, he sends them to Australia.
And that's just made off the cuff. Like, he's just like, hey, can someone get me a milkshake? Oh, hey, by the way, send that husband there and send that wife over there because they just pissed me off. Yeah. Literally, it happens
and
like
change their name so that you can't find them.
Okay.
There's another Scientology's version of
you want to go there?
have you manning a watchtower in the Arctic Circle by sundown.
I literally witnessed Dave Miscavige, out of spite, change the son of a father who left, who I stood there in Dave's office and watched get berated at 4 p.m, and by dinner time he was in his car with his wife driving away going to a doctor's appointment, and we never saw him again. And Dave, out of spite, that man's son had legal change his name completely when this gentleman was a young, growing-minded, dedicated, loyal, not only to the Sea Org, but also to his own parents.
Yeah.
But he was decimated.
And send him to Europe, like a different country. He sent him to a different country.
And he had no say in it. He had I don't want this. Nope. You're getting it, and this is being forced down his gourd. Mm-hmm. That is just a hide, and mostly I observed it to be mostly in spite, because
Dave was you're never going to see your son again. Yeah,
because of the things you said and the quote unquote threat that you present yourself to. There's just well, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Well, isn't that a policy though? There's a policy. I think it's in one of these OSA documents, and it says, "Never forget, we always even the score."
Yeah.
Have you guys seen this?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Never forget, we always. It either says even the score or zero out the card or what. It's something to those effects. Like, we always keep track. We always remember.
And Amy, you were talking about your discovery, that document in the OSA files, of the disposition, the list of disposition with these staff. Remember that write-up of what's going to happen with them? It literally was 40, 45 INT-based staff members listed sequentially, and just within 5-6 words or a short sentence, what are we going to do with them? Degraded being, send them over to be the folder admin in an ANZO. That literally is from the INT base all the way to ANZO.
Or the best ones are,
DB.
degraded being, out ethics, should be on RPF, but then it has in parentheses, but has key info, or it has, but was exposed to sensitive input, and you're like info, and you're like, they have people that they want to throw away, but they're worried about throwing them away because they could cause them problems if they throw them away. And then there's other people that are like, wasn't on any key lines, throw them away. And it's pages and pages of
pages and pages.
There's probably 300 people on one of these lists where they're talking about who's going to get thrown away, where they're going to get thrown away to, and the ones we want to throw away, but we can't throw away because they know things about David Miscavige that would be sensitive.
And it all revolves around what they know about the little man standing on the apple box.
Oh, I don't have my guy. I don't have my life size, my what does Aaron call it? Actual size doll. But I do have my little Davy troll. This is the Davy. Anybody who doesn't know, this is the
Aaron, have you seen that yet? The Davy troll?
We haven't figured out the name for him, but troll is most likely going to Captain Davy Troll, I think is what we're going to end up calling him.
Or troll of the board.
But troll of the board, T-O-B.
T-O-B.
And Aaron, you know that COB, that chairman of the board. Now, this is what I heard, and I will openly say this is what I heard, but it made sense to me at the time I heard it, that Dave chose that because Frank Sinatra was referenced as the chairman of the board out in Vegas, and it just sounded great. Just as though the ecclesiastical leader of Scientology, Dave ain't training shit. He just runs after these good names. But the chairman of the board came about, as I understood it, and I mean, I'm willing to be wrong, but it totally made sense to me back when I was at the base and I heard it. Because of...
I believe it. I believe it.
That sounds like a Dave thing.
That totally fed his ego.
Yeah.
That didn't make sense.
What did we get, Aaron?
We passed 21,000.
All right.
Yay.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yay. By the way, not to harp on about Bob Ferris, but I wanted to make a point. When they called Liz asking to speak with, they didn't say, is Bob there? They said they were calling to collect on his freeloader bill. So layer upon layer of lies. He's still in the Sea organization. We know that now. He's still alive. We know that now. I'm just saying, it's just mind blowing.
That was just like calling a hotel and go, hey, is my brother Bob Ferris there?
Yeah.
I'm not his brother. That was just a bullshit line given. Hey, I'm here to, this is the org calling to check on a freeloader. And by the way, is Bob there? No, it's a part of the blow drill that I
Yes.
freaking spent hours typing up and submitting as here's the official way to find people.
Now, how many?
Shit.
You guys basically had to call every single possible hotel where that person could
Everything,
be.
it was just
And
a
say
geographic.
that. Hey, it's Bob Ferris's brother.
Yeah.
Can you put me through to Bob Ferris's
Yeah.
room? This is his brother.
This is his brother. Or this
Oh,
is
we
his
don't have a
sister.
Bob Ferris. Okay,
Yeah.
next hotel. Hey, can you put me through to Bob Ferris? This is his brother.
And we would go through the hierarchy, the family tree, keep calling that same hotel back. You can't keep going the same brother. So we would go, yeah, this is his uncle. His brother told me. That's the tactics. That's the mindset.
This is Bob Ferris's sister. Can you put me through to him?
Yeah.
This is Uber Eats. I have an order for a Bob Ferris.
Yeah. That
That's
would
a
be
good
awesome.
one,
Aaron.
Aaron.
Oh,
that,
my
that would
goodness.
Be
But
that
that's,
would require some
and that
creativity on
we'd
updating.
repeat and repeat the same thing wherever we called.
Oh my goodness, that's so crazy.
Well, I
to
mean,
me.
you got to sit there and answer when you get checked on by RTC. What's the latest? We haven't found him. We haven't done shit because we've exhausted. Well, you better get creative. So we call back as his uncle. You know, that's how these ideas come about, is the pressure.
Oh my goodness.
We're calling about Bob Ferris's extended automotive warranty.
Oh my goodness.
All righty then. Well, I
Guys,
see
real quick
Kelly is in the
about-
comments, but she's not here, Claire. I see her in there. She's in the comments. Did
Okay.
you send her an invite?
Kelly, I sent you
Kelly,
an invite.
you're supposed
If
to be here right
Yeah.
now.
Kelly
you
left
have
a
to-
comment. I can't star them, but it said that she's sorry she can't make it here tonight, but
Oh.
she's here in spirit. Is the
Oh,
comment.
she's
And
probably on a
Aaron,
phone or
Aaron, you were
something.
trying to say something, buddy.
Well, yeah. So my wife Heather has her, local group of ladies friends, and one of her friends is actually good friends with Yuri's wife.
Oh, wow.
So, and that friend watched the documentary,
Nice.
Oh, good.
Wow.
Wow.
and that
Good.
friend said, "Don't worry,
Okay.
I'm figuring out how to approach what to do."
Okay.
But
Wow. There's going to be
so-
a part B to this.
and this
then.
is what I love. It's when Scientologists in Clearwater have no idea that their close friends are connected to all the biggest, baddest SPs.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
to
good
be
people.
fair, I think there's a
Amazing.
few of us in here that talk to and know people that are still in that kind of tell us things, and so it's so silly that Scientology has this disconnection thing, because we're totally connected up the wazoo to people, and it's almost impossible for them to find out who. And when they do find out who, they just smoke out other people that don't really want to be there anymore, and they're just like, oh, forget this is nonsense, and then we end up talking to them anyway. So
Yeah.
it's so crazy how when somebody escapes, they say, you can do whatever you want, but don't talk to these three people. And what's the first thing you're going to do? Is you're going to
Go talk
God,
to
what
me.
do those three people have to tell me that they don't want me to talk to?
Yeah. I gotta
Yeah,
talk to
what's
those
the
three
phone number
people.
I should be
Yeah,
calling?
yeah. It's literally like they're setting them up to talk to us, just like teeing it up every time.
Basically what it is,
What
yeah.
happened when the Truth Rundown came out? They did these little packs of information on all the people who spoke out, and then they started like feeding people through reading these things, and they're like, before that we weren't even on the radar, and then now we're like front and center. All about the St. Pete Times, so they get a copy of the St. Pete Times. So many people have said that's how they found out.
Yeah, well, we
yeah.
saw a copy of the Freedom magazine that said all the lunatics or something like that, and had all the pictures on
Copy
it.
of lunatics.
Yeah, and I thought, no, there's no way they're going to send this out to Clearwater and let the Sea Organ, the local public see that.
They
That
gave
would
it
be
to everybody.
Crazy. They did that.
Yeah.
PR dumb. They're the
Yeah.
dumbest PR organization ever.
You know what's
How-
so
how
funny
sad is
about
it
that
that
magazine,
this-
that Freedom
Yeah.
magazine that had us on it had all of us on the cover, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
I'm
you're
sorry,
right.
Alex.
I
This was
have it right
before your
here.
time.
I wasn't.
You would have
there.
had a cover. You would have had a magazine cover if
You'd
you
have
would
been
have
in
come
there.
out earlier. But they had Claire and I on really down. We weren't
the
with
bushes.
everybody else. We were like our own little group,
Oh, I have a picture
and
of
we were in the like by the bushes. And I thought I'd seen this thing many times, and I was like, well, at least we didn't end up on there, babe. And she's like, what are you talking about?
Like,
we're
we're on
on the
there.
cover. I'm like, we are? And then she goes, yeah, we're way down here in the corner. And I was like, oh shit, that is me, isn't it?
How many times do you think that front cover was rejected before they came up with the language
Oh
of the
my
posse
goodness, yeah.
of apostates, right?
Many
Finding the
times.
right word.
Yeah, what were
Yeah.
you gonna say, babe?
Oh, I was just going to say how crazy it was too that isn't it true that when the St. Pete Times article came out, Scientology went to every distribution outlet and bought all the copies?
Oh yeah, that morning.
Yes.
Oh yeah, they went around and took all the papers out of the stands.
It's like that 1 quarter at the newsstand, the curbside news box, and put a quarter in and grabbed the big stack of papers. They didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't it great how you can't do that now with the internet?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
There. You can't stop anyone from reading it.
Fucking Dave hates the internet.
Well, I mean, do you remember at the base, just a perfect story for Jackson, that when you were at the Int base and you got mail, it went through security before you would get it. And if it was sealed, they would just open it. And if it was a letter from your family, they'd
unsealed it, read it.
They'd copy it, scan it, and then they'd put it back in the letter, and then you'd get it. And if it was not, if your family was like, hey, if you want us to break you out, we will. If it was one of those, you ain't getting that letter.
No, that would get routed to RTC. It depended on the level in which the origination, the thick origination was in the letter.
Yeah.
If it was like, I just miss you, well, we would route it to that person's HR representative. Yeah. If it was, hey, I'm going to have a van around the corner at 6:00 on this day at that time, we would route that straight. We would like literally call the roving guard. You need to hand route this up to Kirsten or whoever, not Kirsten, Yvonne at the time.
Yeah.
And they jump on it right away.
But if you got a Rolling Stone magazine that had a bad article about, so let's say some people at the international base in the Sea Org, they were independently wealthy, or they had money, or they had family money, or something.
Had magazines,
so they had subscriptions. But if there was a magazine like Rolling Stone that had a story in it, what would happen, Jackson?
Oh, I'd collect them all.
What would you do with them?
Take them right up the hill to RTC.
That's right. So any person who had a magazine that had an anti or a bad article about Scientology, they just wouldn't get their magazine that much.
And then the name would be taken off the address label, and they would be interviewed.
Yeah.
There was always follow-up. And then also, that isn't to hide the fact, back in the day when the Playboy magazine showed up in the mail, routed to Dave, Norman Starkey, Jesse Prince, all the church execs used to get the Playboy magazine in the mail. No one else. But I was like, what is this? How come these guys get it and I don't? But you know what? I got to read them before I forwarded them.
That's so great.
Jackson was going through them for security reasons.
Security.
Make sure there was nothing.
I read everything.
Didn't always make it through clean, did they, Jackson?
Yes.
No, they made it through clean. I just want to make sure there's nothing slippery in them. That's all.
Yeah. Sir, we scanned every single photo in here. There doesn't seem to be any secret anti-Scientology messages. So over to you, sir.
Yeah, here's a funny joke. I ran it by the beaver guard. But anyways, bada boom.
You know, there is a story. I think I might have told this on Aaron's channel before we were doing videos on the Blown for Good channel. But in the middle of the night, there was an actress that we had shot a film with at the Golden Air Base. It was called The Married Couple. And this woman gets counseling and the husband gets counseling, and then they end up successfully repairing their marriage or whatever. And I think she did cheat on him in the movie. But regardless of that, this girl had also been in a, let's say it was a very hard R version of the movie, and then there was an X version of the movie. And the main actress in the Married Couple film, who was a Scientologist, before she shot our film, she shot this other film. And who would possibly see this film? David Miscavige was watching Cinemax at 4:00 in the morning, and he watched the film. And that's how he recognized the woman that we had just shot with, because he would get all of the daily shots. And he wrote this dispatch down, and we got to figure out why she did this movie and all this other stuff. And no one had thought to ask, like, hey, why is chairman of the board, RTC, Davey Miscavige, watching Skinemax at 4:00 in the morning? Okay. So yes, he had privileges and access to things that we never had at the end.
On one screen he had Nintendo playing racing, and the other screen he had Cinemax.
In all Are you kidding me? Literally,
no. He played Nintendo up there.
Well, you know what?
Mario Kart.
This is a great thing. When we went to Big Bear one year, when I was first at the Imp Base, I think it was 1991 or 1992, everybody got to go up to Big Bear for a day or two. And I had to go up early so I could set up Dave's Nintendo and all of his audio equipment in the hotel where they were staying, in like this whatever kind of entertainment room. But I just remembered that we had a Nintendo NES system in every single one of his offices, the billiards room and the the dining hall up in RTC. There was always this Nintendo. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, guess what he was doing after he ripped everybody a new one from the flood?
He's playing Mario Kart.
He went right up to the officers' lounge and started playing Mario.
You know what I love is this picture in my head of David Miscavige playing like Call of Duty or something, and his ass being whooped by like a 13-year-old kid or something.
Oh yeah, Dave don't have the intelligence for those kind of
like,
games.
Completely troll him and then
yeah, no, he would never. Call of Duty, he would just not be good at.
No,
he would destroy the TV.
Yeah,
if he was playing Call of Duty because he would have tantrums.
Yeah.
Mark,
yes,
I have this cover.
I see it. Here we go. I'm gonna see if how it's gonna do if I add it. Oh, there we go. It is. So this is a magazine that came out in the 2000s. Do we remember when this? Does anybody know when this came out?
I would say 2009. Because it was shortly after the St. Pete's time. So
2009 was this one.
St. Pete's time. Okay.
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to. There we go.
This is the one that came out in 2009.
Okay.
And
the next very issue was.
Oh, where did
I thought that other one was after Going Clear.
See, I've always wondered why'd they choose a 50. Why'd they choose a purple convertible 57 Chevy? What did that have to do? Why are we cruising around in a 57 Chevy?
So bizarre. Yeah, we can't insert too much logic. It's going to be.
I know.
I love how is that Marty choking Mike?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So
in the red shirt, they put him in like a prison outfit.
It's an orange jumpsuit, like as if you were a prisoner.
Yeah.
And then he's choking Mike. Picture. And above Mike is Tom DeVock with a long Pinocchio nose because it says that he's a liar.
Okay.
And then above that in the star outfit is Steve Hall because they think he's airy fairy and whatever. Okay. It's got stars all around his head. And then there's Mosey above Monique, this Monique Rathbun, we used to call her Monique.
Oh, is that with she's the one who's got the beers?
Beer, yeah.
Okay.
And then so that's Jason Begay on Marty's back.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it says "Will live for food" or something like that. That's Jeff Hawkins back there.
Okay.
And then
that doesn't even look like Jeff. That's you guys. No. Everybody else so far, and the Jason one's not good either. The other ones so far I could see, but
he looks like Heisenberg.
Is that you in front of? Are you the one changing the tire, Amy?
I'm not changing a stupid tire, and it doesn't look like me at all.
Where's Matt?
And it's me with flip-flops on and a bathing suit on the internet because remember they were saying I was an internet sniper on the grassy knoll.
Oh yeah.
But where's Matt?
They didn't put him in there because David's scared of Matt. And then next to Mike over there is Christy, his wife, looking all sad and crying.
Okay.
And then next to her is Paul Haggis.
Oh, yeah. I never could figure out who that one was either, and I never knew that top one was Steve.
He's got a director's outfit on and a bullhorn, so that's.
Oh, and then there's Claire and I in the bushes. That's Claire and me.
Well, you had black hair, Mark, and.
Well, I mean,
wow.
It's just one of those things.
And
also,
apparently he's pushing me into the bush.
They did not have good character drawers.
It's almost like they drew the cover and then as an afterthought added Mark and Claire at the like bottom corner.
That's what I thought. I was
bushes.
like,
yeah.
And when Going Clear came out, we had a hate site come out, more hate sites about us, and we're not even in the movie. They were guessing. They didn't know who was in the movie, so they kind of just shot at a whole bunch of people, and some of those people ended up being in the movie and some didn't. Do we want to do some questions?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, here we go. Has Serge had issues? This is from Kathy Ann. Thank you for that, Kathy Ann. Has Serge had issues with Fair Game since meeting Aftermath? What an inspiration, a beautiful soul. He has not had any of that, at least nothing that he's told me about. But I don't think we've ever revealed where he lives. There's a shot of him walking out of a building in the video. But other than that, I don't think he's ever he's had anything. And also, I'm not exactly sure what they would really do to Serge that they haven't done already. Like that's what I'm saying. They've done their worst. So But we're keeping our eyes out for Serge. And
we talk to Serge every other day. If he has anything he needs help with, he knows how to reach us.
Here's another one from John and Jenny. It's pretty much along the same lines. Question: will they fair game Serge? We are all a bit worried. Aaron, that's so cruel. Who's typing? Is that you, Jackson?
Oh,
that's okay. I muted you now. There you go. That's what you get for typing. Joni Cummings. When I see the documentary, I cried because I cried. It hit me right in my feels. I love seeing Eminem, Claire Bear, Queen Bee, Amy, and Aaron. Thank you for being here, and the people who need help love all of you. Thank you, Joni. We appreciate it. Thank you for your donation. Joni again. I can't forget Jackson, who is also amazing. These were made when we first started, guys. Alicia RT. Hey guys, if Serge is still looking for a job, I work for an Amazon fulfillment center. It's easy to get into, plus they would accommodate his disabilities, mental health stuff. Okay, we'll see. We're just kind of going through. If anybody else has suggestions, you can email us at theaftermathfoundation.org. You can go onto the website and you can send us a message there. But
Alicia, I did get your email, so I'll look at that. Thank you.
But we're going to see whatever. Here's another one. It says Rocky Road says vocational rehabilitation is also a free federal program that provides vocational training and a job coach. They will also sometimes pay for junior college persons with disability. Okay, good. Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, the thing with the college just for Serge is we're going baby steps with him. I think he wants to do the job thing right now, and depending on how well or how good he is at that, then he'll figure out. He also needs a little bit of extra funds to be able to travel and eat on the road and all these other type of things. So we'll see. Michelle Carpenter says, question, does the fundraiser end or is it indefinite and just tied to certain videos? No, the fundraiser, that's a good question. Anyone can, who has a channel on YouTube, I think you have to have over a certain amount of subscribers, but depending on your subscriber base, you can add a fundraiser to any video that you do. So if there's other channels that want to add a fundraiser, they just search for the story of Serge Obolensky and you can add it as a fundraiser. Alex?
Yeah, you have to have 10,000 subscribers, which is why the fundraiser isn't on my channel, because I've only got 7,000. So if you are watching on my channel, please go to anyone else in this live streams and there you can donate straight to the foundation there. And hopefully when I hit 10K, I can join.
I don't have 10,000.
Okay, well, Amy, you can join us too. I mean, the challenge to get.
We'll get you both there in short order. How about that?
Yes, subscribe, Queen BSP
and Apostate Alex. Yay.
Joni again. Did I just see DM from Aaron and Mark? Oh yeah. See, we have two different versions. We have this one, which is going to be ready for Christmas. This is going to be Captain Davy. The hole in the troll? I don't know. We've got so many good names for it.
But get some scrambled eggs on the top of that cone hat there, Mark. Get the captain's scrambled eggs on the brim of their egg.
There's no. This is it. This is it.
Okay.
It's not. We're not making. We've been making changes. I mean, look at this.
I know, dude. That's
awesome.
There's awesome. An elf on the shelf around here somewhere, but.
This is David Miscavige in his natural state.
Yeah,
this is when he's just playing Nintendo.
This is his Christmas outfit.
That's when he's getting his game on with Mario.
He even has campaign bars. I mean,
know, dude. That's just incredible.
And his little stripes.
And of course, stripe? Let's not fail to mention that all the proceeds from the Troll in the Hole or whatever, Elfie Davy, will be going to the Aftermath Foundation. So yay.
Yeah, we should just put every single one anyone said. Captain Davy, Troll in the Hole, South Pole Elf, just all of them. You just say whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Catherine,
the next one needs to be bald, by the way, because he actually doesn't have hair and those are hair plugs.
Or have removable plugs.
I don't know if they're removable. But
question, is Yuri still in Scientology?
David Miscavige has fake hair?
Oh yeah, he has hair plugs.
Yeah.
That said, I want to see if they're removable.
Does he have hair plugs, babe? I thought he did.
Absolutely.
He does. Yeah, he had me rub my fingers through his hair, saying how natural it was, and I said,
"Oh my God, Amy."
Oh, look at Alex. It's blowing his mind right now. Like, wait a minute. The leader of Scientology has hair plugs?
Yeah. Could you imagine any Seer member paying for hair plugs?
Well, no, that's like saying, can you imagine any Seer member driving around in a BMW i7 that's all tricked out? No.
But let's also remember he gets this money obviously from Scientology, which is a tax-exempt organization in the US. So if you are a US taxpayer, you are subsidizing David Miscavige's hair plugs.
Literally. Oh, and let's not forget his high-end tanning beds. His tanning beds.
Oh yeah. He has these. He has. I think does it. I don't know if he has them in all offices, but I know he had one in the base.
At the base for sure.
Does he have it in Clearwater too? Does anybody know if he has them in Clearwater?
I don't know.
Go outside for 2 seconds in Clearwater.
Well, no, that's people are going to see him, or process servers, or
let's move over that
Alphabet,
topic
or Alphabet agencies.
There's a developing image in my head that I know I'm not going to be able to unsee shortly of that getting used.
This is a question from Catherine. She says, question, is Yuri still in Scientology? What about Sasha? Is he still around? His brother Sasha passed away, and Yuri lives in Clearwater, Florida. And we said at the very beginning of this video that Matt actually went to the address that was found for him, and Yuri's mother-in-law answered, and they thought that Serge had passed away because that's what Scientology had told anybody who asked about Serge, that he had passed away, or at least they told these people. I'm sure they would have told that. It would have just been the story that was spread around.
And his mother-in-law said that she has 2 children right now in the Sea Org.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, she had to be real careful on being connected to me. She didn't want to be separated from her children.
Yeah, well, they know now, Matt, so regardless.
Yeah, you know, Oster's today, they're probably at Yuri's house.
Yeah.
Sure.
You can bet that they're getting a visit from somebody.
Somebody's Sunday has changed. Someone's Sunday plans have changed now that Matt made that visit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, for as hard as they work to keep information secret in Scientology, they're also doing us a favor by strangely telling certain people about us. So, Matt, while you came to Clearwater to go knock on Yuri's door, I went over to Tampa to talk to a Sea Org member that was manning the Scientology booth at Comic-Con, whose parents haven't spoken to them in 10 years because they're disconnected. Wow. And this person did not know me in the Sea Org. We've never met before. Someone who accompanied me said, do you think this person is going to know who you are? I said, only if they've warned them about me. So I went up and I said, hey, I'm just here because your parents asked me to come. They'd like to see you again. And she goes, I know who you are. You're Aaron.
Oh my God.
There was no
and
yes
you
or
never
no.
met this person before.
No. And I said, look, I didn't want to make a scene. I just wanted to give you the message from your parents. And she said, I appreciate that. And she shook my hand.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Wow.
That was,
so
can we say who it was? I mean, we all know who it was.
Well, I haven't asked permission, so I won't for now.
Okay.
That's amazing. Thank you for doing that. That's
How
awesome.
did
Sorry.
they know?
Alex?
I was just going to say, an encounter like that is evidence to someone, however deep you are in Scientology and whatever you believe about SPs, she's come face to face with one of the biggest, baddest SPs and had a nice interaction where you haven't attacked her and been really horrible. Like, she's going to walk away from that thinking, that guy wasn't horrible and nasty. He just wanted to give a message and was quite
what
pleasant.
I was told.
So that's going to start those cogs turning in her head.
And that is actually why we like doing these videos and we like getting this information out to people. For the people that are what we call never-ins, the people that were never in Scientology and this is just like their soap opera, I'm glad it's entertaining to you guys because that's how we're able to keep doing this. But at the same time, we have a very large number of Scientologists that watch this channel because Scientology has said so many things about this that they try to tune in to verify that. And of course, when they see this, they 100 see that we're just telling the truth of what happens there. We're not attacking anybody. And at least in my videos, I don't know about everybody else, but I try to encourage people not to harass Sea Org members if they see them in the wild or try not to be antagonistic. Being antagonistic is what Scientology wants us to be so that we can play the part of the SP. But when we're caring and we're trying to help people and we're trying to get people jobs and stuff like that, and we're trying to pick up the trash that Scientology's throwing out, that really is the opposite of what they tell Scientologists about us. And anyone who's been in Scientology knows that all the things that we say are things that happen day in and day out in Scientology. And if you're a Scientologist and you hearing about these things that happen at the base or Scientology bases that you didn't know about it, I guarantee you all the people that worked at the bases where we worked at are saying, yes, that's exactly what happens there as well. So we're the books and the magazines and the TV shows and all the things that we've participated in is just us telling our stories of what happens at that place. So it's hard for Scientology to sort of counteract that with the hate sites and the trolls and all that, because we're sort of laughing it off, but they're deadly serious about trying to ruin us.
None of us have legal representation, do we? Because
I do.
Well, I'm just saying that they know if they're going to take us to task.
Oh no,
that we're coming with the truth.
Yeah, we don't have legal representation because we're worried about what they're going to do to us.
No, I know. I'm just
legal representation because we've been trying to do stuff with.
I'm just saying us as individuals. It's just proof in the pudding, and for all you little good-hearted OSA people sitting here watching all this, you probably yourself have wondered how come we're not being sued by your organization, because we would bring the truth to the table, and that's what is not wanted to be out in the open world.
Yeah, it took 5 minutes of Debbie Cook being up on the stand saying,
just write checks.
That's right. Such a beautiful moment.
Couldn't stop that thing fast enough.
No.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. It's funny that you mentioned that, Jackson, because in the spy files, there are tons and tons of lawsuits that OSA drew up with attorneys,
of course,
to send to people as a threat. They weren't ever going to file the lawsuit. They just wrote it up, and they had, and in my case, I think there's at least 4 or 5 different versions of a lawsuit that was drawn up that they were going to send to us, or they were going to say, listen, this is what we're going to do. And there's even a document where they said, this can either be over or we can bring the pain. Like that's in a document. And they have the lawsuit attached to that document as this is what we want to do. But OSA is thinking we're going to sue people, but when it goes up, it gets sent up to RTC. RTC never says, let's sue that person, because they know at the end of the day, because the OSA guys don't know the stuff we're talking about at the end base.
I know.
They don't know that's what goes on at the end.
No,
base.
they don't.
When
that's
they
the
hear
funny
it,
thing.
so they put them in a weird position. Like they have to report up all this black PR. They don't say what we say. They just said a lot of black PR about David Miscavige striking people. They don't say that. They just say N theta about COB.
Right.
So it's funny that they're like, hey, let's sue him, and then nobody ever sues. So you're like, OSA, the reason they can never sue is because all this stuff happened.
And it'll come out in an avalanche, and there's about 100,000 people that all witness the same thing. So it's just going to be a.
Mark, you reminded me of when you guys were going through your trial, and I was going to come on and be a character witness for you all.
Yeah.
And the church jumped fast on subpoenaing me so I could be deposed before I went to you.
Yeah.
And I will never forget that day sitting over here in some legal schmiegel office here in Portland, Oregon. And all the standards were in the background. Alan Cartwright, that all the OSA reps. Yep. But there was good old little, I may have get his name, but was his name Bert Drexler?
Bert Deichler.
Bert Deichler. Okay. So
this is a Scientology hired attorney who is possibly more despicable than some of the most evil Scientologists you'll run into. This guy was he was right out of the tool shed. He was a giant
incredible.
Tool.
So
I had to spend 8 hours with that sucker.
Yeah, no, I spent the same, Amy, and he would sit there and go, so Mr. Moorhead, is it not true? Mr. Moorhead. And then within probably a half hour of that, I just like, man, this is getting annoying. So he asked me this question, and then my answer was, no, Bert, I did not. and he was like, and he asked me another question. I said, no, Bert, I didn't do that. And he was like, Mr. Moorhead, this is a professional thing. It's professional. We want to keep it professional. I said, I know that, Bert. And the whole thing, and we have to break for a recess, and they will go back and hustle and readjust the video camera to Dave sitting there watching this thing go live. But it was just so fun beating him in his little game. But you said that, and I still got the check too that the process server showed up at my door.
I think we still have our check too.
Yeah,
we never cashed it.
Yeah,
yeah.
Just
Amy had deposition for the same.
Yeah, I tried to give it back to him. Said, I want your blood money.
Yeah,
and he goes, I know you don't, but we legally have to give it to you. And I said, you don't have to give me shit. Take it back.
Yeah.
He goes, you legally, it's going to be sitting outside your door.
I'm going to put this comment up just because I want to tackle it. Elisa1704 says, Mark, please see, Never Ends. Do not think this is a soap opera. That is why we donate to help. I don't think you were trying to be unkind. I wasn't, because somebody who was a Never End said this is our soap opera. So I'm just saying what somebody wrote to me. I'm not. That wasn't my perception. But I mean, really, at the end of the day, some of this is fascinating, and I think a lot of these things that we're talking about are happening in real time. These stories that Aaron's doing on his channel, the stories that we're doing on our channel, we're talking about things that are in the works, and people, we called this person, and then Matt just went over to this person's house, and that we found out. I mean, we found all this stuff out since the video aired. We found out they told Scientologists that Serge had passed away. We'd always wondered why they didn't try to get a hold of him or track him down. It's because they told him he had passed away. So to them, he really was dead. And you know what's really creepy about that is that in the video, Serge says, I want my family to know that I'm not dead.
That's right.
Yeah. So did it get back to him already somehow, that somebody saw him, thought, oh my God, I thought you passed away? I don't know how he would think that. Why would they think he was dead, and why would he ask to say, hey, I'm not dead?
They just never spoke to him again.
Anyway,
like, I'm not dead.
Yeah. There's another one from Peace Dog, says, can Serge do Amazon wish lists for things he needs? You know, we're not totally, we don't want to mess up Serge's situation. And anybody who did donate, we just said, just go to the BFG website. You can just hit the donate button and say for Serge, and that's going to go directly to Serge. It won't go, we'll figure out how to do that, but we don't want him to get so much that his disability gets canceled. And to be honest, the Amazon thing, I've heard people say that could go either way. Like if they find out he get X amount through Amazon, then they could say he made an extra that much more in income or gifts, or we're working it out legally so we do the exact right thing. But for now, it's not going to kill him to get an extra $5 or $20. That's not going to make a huge difference for his. But
we are researching best options to be able to help Serge, so he has the support he needs, and that everyone is so kindly willing to give. And yes.
Can I just jump in and say, from watching the video yesterday, it was so clear to me that yes, money is important and it's helpful financially, but the thing that stuck out to me is that the thing Serge needed more than anything was just a helping hand, just someone to be there and help him and listen to him and care for him. And the moment when he was at the graduation and we could hear you, Mark and Claire, yelling like, like that was an indicator you welcomed him into your family and gave him the love and the care that he hasn't had for a long time, if ever. And that in itself doesn't have a monetary value, because you're providing help. And that's like evidence of what the Aftermath Foundation does. Financial support, yes, but just caring for someone, because you don't get that in Scientology.
He was really that's exactly right, Alex. He was raised, and this is a lot of people, when you're a kid in Scientology, you're being raised by Scientology in a lot of cases. Certainly if you're in the Sea Organization. The Sea Organization or Scientology is your parent. It's the person that's raising you. And they're raising you to be a Scientologist. They're not raising you to be anything outside of Scientology. So you're getting the skills and the tools you need to live within Scientology. As soon as you leave that bubble, you're in a lot of cases, this is not everybody, but in a lot of cases, you don't have a toolkit to navigate life with. And you're right, Alex. He just needed an advocate. That's at the end of the day, he just needed somebody to be like, hey, I'm here for Serge. What are we trying to do? And then when they say something, you can translate, okay, good, Serge, this is what we got to do. Because it's just all Greek to him when they're telling him what he needs to do. He has no idea what they're saying because he's never, ever navigated that world, and no one taught him how to. So
it's just evidence of such a simple thing that people who haven't had a Scientology experience take for granted. A family and people that care for you and advocate, and that's something that's completely lacking and missing from someone who's gone through that experience. And the video is such a good indicator to people who haven't been in Scientology of like, no, this is the fundamental basics of human life that these people lose out on from being raised in Scientology. And it's that care and love and advocacy, like you say, that it means more than anything. And I don't think there was anyone that would have watched that video last night without some sort of tear or a million coming from their eyes, because it was such a moving thing. And it's amazing what you guys did. And thank you. You guys are real angels walking the street.
Yeah, it was a lot of work that we needed to do with him, but we've done that with so many other people that we're kind of getting the hang of it now. I think we kind of know our way around this. Here's another person saying, S. Moore says, family members can request death certificates from county to verify death if anyone isn't sure if they were lied to. Yeah, that's true. Thank you for that, S. Moore. If you were told that one of your relatives passed away and you didn't have a funeral or you didn't get a death certificate or any of that stuff didn't happen, it might not be a bad idea to go to Riverside County or call Riverside County and do a records request, or whichever county your relative might be working at. So thank you for
guys,
that.
For any other 2,000 people watching live, please do us a favor and hit that like button. It does seem to help send out notifications to people who aren't getting them. And yeah, that's all.
Yes, thank you for that. And yeah, hit like. And if you want to, if you've got a question for us, put it in the comments. We've got, here's another one here. Oh, these guys really got excited. Bonnie Dayhouse says, never end. We are a movement. This is not for entertainment for us. S. Pete, Florida. It's all too close. Yes. No, I understand, Bonnie. I'm sorry I repeated what somebody wrote to me. Anyway,
I'm going to have to shoot in a minute, guys.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Alex.
2 minutes or so, and I have to run off. But
no problem. Does anybody else have any new other things that are going on, Matt?
One thing I would say real quick is that if Serge's brother Yuri, if he actually tries to contact Serge now, the church will work on ruining his family and his whole setup. I mean, they're going to say, well, you're connecting with somebody who's connected to SPs, which means that you have to disconnect from your wife, her parents. I mean, they'll go the whole 9 yards on trying to silence and destroy him and his family if he should try to reach out to his brother now that he knows his brother's alive. And he won't be able to tell anybody about the situation because he'd be spreading, bad news about Scientology, and that alone can get him declared. So he's going to have to walk a real fine line now, even though he now knows that his brother's alive. The church is so nasty.
That's true. Even and that's a great point to bring up, Matt. So that even though whatever happened to Serge happened, it's very, very possible that Yuri and it's Nancy, right? Nancy's the mom.
Yeah. Yes, Nancy Christodoulou.
Yeah, Nancy and Yuri could have been told, if you don't disconnect from him, then you yourself will be in trouble. That is certainly a possibility that happened. So it may not it's one of those things where you say, how could a mother desert her child? And how could she? Well, because there's the cult that she's in is telling her, if you don't do that, you're going to get kicked out too. And then she won't be able to talk to her other sons. So this is the kind of nonsense that goes on, is that parents are made to choose. Either you choose these children or you choose these children. And it's what is that? It's a Sophie's choice. It's always Sophie's choice. So they have to pick which children and grandchildren they're going to disconnect from, because of Scientology, we're either going to be not connected to our Scientology relatives, or we're not going to be connected to our ex-Scientology relatives. Yeah. So, and also their eternity. So it's not only the family. Yeah. These people think that if they do not stay in Scientology, then they're throwing away all future eternity, not for them, for mankind. That's actually my mother. When we went to we went to a family reunion, and my mom wouldn't talk to Claire or my father. I was on a business trip, so I didn't even go myself, but she wouldn't talk to my mother, wouldn't talk to Claire or my dad, because my dad helped us escape. And she told her non-Scientology family, who went to church on Sundays, that if she talked to Claire or Bernie, all mankind's future eternity would be threatened. And this blew their mind. They were like, if you talk to those two people, basically the world's going to end. And my mom was like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. Those are the risks. and they were just like, holy smokes, you're nuts.
I had never ever seen Mark's dad that angry in my entire life. He was like, we're out of here.
Yeah, the best part is that
he was angry.
Somebody was like, "Oh, do we have any potato salad, or do we have more sugar?" And my mom was like, "Oh, I'll go get the sugar."
Sugar, yeah.
And she went into the house and just sat in the kitchen because she didn't want to come and talk to my dad or Claire. And then my dad was like, an hour later was like, is she still getting the sugar? What's going on here? And that's when a relative went into the kitchen and said, hey, where's the sugar? And she said, I can't go back out there. And then that's when she told them the story. And then that person, the family member, came out and said, I found out what happened to your mom. If she talks to you guys, evidently all mankind's future eternity will be threatened. And that's when my dad said, Claire, we're leaving. And then scooped her up and they drove away.
Yeah. Go ahead, Aaron. You were going to say something.
It was just an anecdote I know most people haven't heard yet. But, I mean, it's a little off topic, but, there's this training program that's been happening here at Clearwater, Florida, where Miscavige is training new command teams for every org in the world. Well, the executive director for one of the Kansas City orgs, her name was Liz Carr. So she was sent to the program, hadn't seen her family in about 2 years. By the way, these are the trainees who are being made to study all night and sleep all day because Miscavige says there's not enough room in the course rooms. So she says, I'm not feeling well. They take her to the hospital by herself. No one goes with her. Take her to the hospital, ambulance. By the way, none of her family in Kansas City are informed she went to the hospital. She dies alone.
Oh, no kidding.
She dies alone.
Uh-oh.
At the hospital.
At the hospital. This is, by the way, this is within the last year.
Okay.
Her husband in Kansas City.
Not told.
They send him to replace her on the
Jesus. No way. That did not happen.
Alex Carr. Alex Carr is now training to be the ED Kansas City because his
wife left without a replacement.
Yeah. And dropped dead alone. Anyway. So you guys think that the stories you hear on here, like we're cherry picking, these are selective, these are one-offs. These are normal in Scientology.
Yeah,
completely.
This is a recent thing. This is not so. That's
Alex Carr is here in Clearwater right now training on a program because he's replacing his wife who died alone in the hospital.
Unbelievable.
So you get ready to get him a plane ticket back to Kansas City now that we all know about it. Someone's not going to be on the training muster tomorrow.
It's mind-blowing.
That is so unbelievable. And they probably didn't tell anybody in Kansas City what happened to her.
Makes you wonder about the rest of his family tree. Cousins, uncles.
What did they find out in Kansas City in the end? Like, did they?
She chose to drop the body.
She chose.
Come on now.
Yeah. Well, that's the other crazy thing about my dad. And eventually, my dad ended up passing away. But when he was in the hospital, Claire sort of alluded to this in the beginning. When he was in the hospital, the reason my dad had been diagnosed with lung cancer in the early 2000s, they gave him 6 months. He passed away in 2019, the end of 2019. So he lived for more than a decade or so after he had lung cancer. And he got lung cancer twice and he had brain cancer twice. And each time they gave him 6 months and he went for, 16 years or whatever it was. But the thing I was going to say is my sister never talked to him from 2005 until 2019. And the only time that she spoke to him was the night before he passed away. She called him. And when she called him on the phone was because Erin started messaging friends of hers on Facebook that her father was about to pass away and that she had better call him. And that's the only way she called him. When I tried to call, or Claire tried to call, or any of our other relatives tried to call, they essentially said, if Trudy or my sister talks, my mom or my sister talk to my father, then they're going to be in trouble, so they can't. Well, my sister called my dad the day before. The day before he passed, and then she did what Scientologists do when someone's passing, and to try to tell him where to go pick up a new body.
Oh God!
And she did that last half hour that he got to speak with her. She was just babbling Scientology nonsense to him on the phone. All he wanted to do was talk to her. And a lot of us thought that the only reason he lasted as long as he did is because he was holding out hope that he would speak to my sister once more.
That's why I was losing my mind. And thank you, Aaron, for helping with that, because I was literally ready to fly down there and drag her to a phone, and wouldn't have been pretty, let me tell you. And to be clear, he was never a Scientologist. So
and
the only reason he was declared a suppressive is because he helped us when we escaped.
Now, a little bit, because I knew Stephanie
very
well.
I have to dip. Sorry.
Thanks, Alex.
Bye, Alex.
Bye. I'll see you guys soon.
I would be of the belief, Mark, that what was coming out of her mouth was because she probably not only just had one person listening in, but another person listening in, to be allowed to have that conversation to her father, but forced to say what she said. But also in the back of her mind, wanting to say what she wants to say, but couldn't. Yeah. That's just my belief, because I knew Stephanie the way that I knew her, and I'm sure that was eating her up inside. That's my vote for that, but guaranteed there was people listening.
Standard. She couldn't have made that phone call.
No, without people listening in.
Without OSA listening in and making sure she
wouldn't even know how to dial the numbers.
She would have to talk Scientology bull crap in order to stay on the phone.
Anyways, brother, I remember Stephanie clearly. She was just a fun little bubbly gal.
Yeah. I just can't believe we're hearing multiple stories about people passing away. And that's another thing, guys. It almost seems, I don't know if it's just because whenever somebody does pass away in Scientology, we hear about it for some reason, or I don't know why it would be more public, but it seems that there is an inordinate amount of Scientologists that are passing away from cancers and other things. And I don't know if it's because they're not seeking medical care earlier on and it's going too far, or it's because the constant high dosages of niacin, which are, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure niacin is actually documented as, if you overdose it, it's bad for you. And
after a certain level, it turns into carcinogen.
Yeah.
I'm no doctor, but
killed my entire immune system. 8 months of 5,000 niacin a day, and as a punishment. And I'm telling you, that was. After that, I had every single problem you can imagine.
Yeah,
physically.
Anyway, it's just odd.
And you know what? On the deaths, they're covering them up as much as possible, so that we're hearing about so many means that there must be a lot.
Yeah.
Pending minimally. We know of many of our buds that are pending.
And it also doesn't help that they're making up deaths on top of that.
Well,
come on.
In Dave's world, all those older people that hold the deeds to his life, dead people tell no tales.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a shake of reality. I gotta say that's his ultimate. What am I gonna do? Well, you know what? Just mentally and spiritually wine and dine them. And just like Annie, dead people don't tell tales.
Wow, look at this. I've been leaving Mormonism. I was talking to a coworker last night. I mentioned being a gray Mormon, which is someone who was baptized but never believed.
Wow.
Maybe that's what we could start calling, we call them under the radar in Scientology. Everyone in and outside of Scientology knows what that means. Yep. We don't have to make up a word like a gray Scientologist.
And in true Scientology style, there's an acronym for that, UTR.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And the baptism in Scientology is having your first sex check.
Yeah, I thought the purif was really a baptism.
Or no, your first set of lower conditions.
Yeah,
they cook you in an oven for a few weeks when you first get in Scientology to see if you can cut it. Danny Clark says, question for Matt. When you spoke to Yuri's mother-in-law, do you think the grandchildren she spoke of are Yuri's kids in the Sea Org? That's a terrible choice for them. I'm going to unmute you, Matt. There. Wait. You there? Oh, I can't unmute you. You have to unmute yourself, Matt. Look at me choosing to ask Matt a question while Amy is away from the computer. Okay, we'll come back to that one. Kelly Williams says, please read about Serge. Contact SSDI. Ask for a ticket to work. They will tell you how much a month that he can make without messing up his benefits. Please read. Thank you, Kelly. I have read this. Thank you. Claire will get on that.
Okay, I think I can answer the question now. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
there you go. Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you. I'll put it back up just so you can see it. Danny Clark says, question for Matt. When you spoke to Yuri's mother-in-law, do you think that the grandchildren she spoke of or the children that you spoke of are Yuri's kids in the Sea Org? That is a terrible choice for him.
I think it's Yuri's mother-in-law's children.
Okay.
Yeah, because she said, I have 2 children in the Sea Org. That's what she said to me.
So she
So
might.
the siblings of Yuri's wife, probably.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another thing, and that's a good point, Matt. If you speak to someone, so he spoke to Yuri's mother-in-law. So she is what we would call a civilian Scientologist. She's not in the Sea Organization, but she is a card-carrying Scientologist. If she knows, I don't want to get her in any more trouble than she's already in, but if she already knew who Matt was, did you explain that you were declared?
They knew me. They knew me from Flag.
Oh, so they knew who you were when you saw them.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so they knew who you were.
They recognized me.
They knew that you weren't in Scientology anymore, and that you were giving them information. They thought Serge had passed away, and so the reason she mentioned that is like, hey, listen, I've got 2 kids in the SO. That it's basically like when you're a police officer and you go to one of the people in the mob and they say, hey, listen, I've got family in the mob. If I talk to you, I'm going to end up 6 feet under. That's essentially, she's speaking Scientology code for, dude, don't cause me any trouble. I've got 2 kids in the Sea Org. Mm-hmm. So it's very, very telling that even somebody who's now getting this information, oh, there's a person we were told that passed away is still alive. Just know, we have our own situation here that it's gonna get messed up. Essentially, she could be disconnected from those 2 children in the Sea Org. That's what she's
going to cost
about.
her. It's going to cost her probably $10,000 to $20,000 between her and her husband to get interrogated because I stopped by the house to let them know that that Serge was still alive.
But for all we know, that will be the trigger that gets them out and reunites.
That's true.
With Serge.
Yeah, but then she'd be out, but probably not with her kids.
Well,
that's the problem.
You never know.
We've all gone through. Yeah,
we have. Yeah, and that's why the Aftermath Foundation exists.
Exactly.
That's why we all do what we do, and why this is our passion, because we know exactly what goes on.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Danny. That was a good question. Destiny Salazar. Thank you, Destiny, a frequent flyer to all of our channels. Following SPTV helps me honor my uncle's memory and learn more about his experiences. He passed away 2 years ago, and you are all also entertaining. We all have our reasons for being here. Thank you, Destiny. I appreciate it.
Matt, I'm going to bet that somebody in OSA Flag is not having their CSP time today because they were all
CSP is Clean Ship Program, and that is
doing
for
their laundry,
all
cleaning
Sea
their
Org
room.
members. Yeah, you get 3 hours to do your laundry, dust your room, and most Sea Org members just use it to sleep. But either way, what did you do?
Can I put up a comment real quick?
Yeah, hold on a second. I want to ask Aaron a question because he was Amy, Matt, Claire, myself, and Gary Jackson were all at the INT base, and CSP was extra sleep time.
Oh.
That's just what it was, period. Some people did clean. Most people just did their laundry on Saturday night, stayed up late and did it so they could sleep all morning. Aaron, what was the pack? I just can't imagine that many people trying to wash their laundry at the same time.
You would get nuked if you tried to sleep during CSP time.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
You can't do anything before you pass inspection.
No, are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
You would get an inspection in your room?
Well, yeah. I mean, all inspections would be done after CSP, but so some people would do their laundry at night because there's not enough washers and dryers for everyone to do it at the same time.
Okay.
So some people would do their laundry. And to be honest, if you were really, quick about it, you could do laundry pretty much after post any day because there's that little buffer period, right? But if you were found to have gone off base without your room passing inspection, oh yeah, you were in the crosshairs. You couldn't do that.
Really? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Flag, you couldn't even get on the bus unless you had a slip saying that you passed your white glove inspection. And what you would do is muster up in the parking lot, everybody line up and be accounted for so nobody could sleep in. And then they have people going around through all the berthing while you're supposed to be cleaning to make sure you're actually cleaning. And then you have to have somebody give you a pass, give you a slip of paper saying you passed so that you can get onto the friggin' bus and go and get something to eat.
Wow.
Oh yeah, no way you would have sleep during that time.
Oh, at the end
because your roommates anyway would get
Mark, you don't remember me
it.
coming around and waking you guys up and
Yeah,
well,
we had you come around and wake us up.
You know what? To
But
be
we didn't
fair,
have morning muster on Sundays.
no.
There, for a while there was. I remember at Kirby
initially
we were mustering.
Watches.
That's right. We would muster in the parking lots of the apartment buildings at like 8:30, and everybody was like, "Okay, get up. You got to
drag ass."
Yeah. But then that was very
too?
short-lived.
No.
Listen.
At Flag, what they would do before you went and clean your rooms, they would have all the staff that just woke up, they're half asleep, go marching all over that parking lot for like 20 minutes. Yeah, they'd have some girl that was in the army over in Israel. She'd be calling out all this stuff and having all these half-sleeping people doing all kinds of turns and marching before they could go clean the room. I'm not kidding. It was insane.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I used to run.
And make a right turn when you're supposed to make a left turn. Oh, you're in serious trouble.
Right, that's right. I used to run the marching at Golden Era when we did it because I could yell really, really loud. And, we would. I don't know if they did this with other people in other bases, but when I was running it, I would 100% try to smoke out the dopies with the left and the right thing. So you do like left face, left face, left face, right face, and everybody, on that last one, they'd be like, and then it would be like, we got all the Dumbos here. We smoked out the Dumbos. Oh my goodness, that's crazy.
I remember those days.
Okay, Cornelius, thank you for that question. That was a very good answer, I must say. Cornelius Antonius says, on the surface, staff members can appear happy, friendly, and eager to help their fellow man. Underneath this veneer, though, many hold little regard for others beyond their work.
That is such a spot-on statement.
Yeah. I started that because that is so true.
So true.
Really, the only thing that they're worried about is right this minute that their statistic, because that determines whether they're going to be punished or not.
You know what we got briefed on so many times by the Office of Special Affairs over the years continuously is that it keeps coming up in surveys of the general public, non-Scientology public, that when we walk between buildings, we look so sad and like introverted, right? And that we have to start not thinking about our jobs and actually smile and look around when we walk between buildings because it was such a situation, believe it or not.
Well, I remember when we would go to Flag for events, we were told, do not walk around downtown, do not go to the stores, do not do this because it's out public relations and you're not allowed to do it. If you need to go from the Sandcastle to the Flag to the Fort Harrison, you have to get on a bus. You cannot walk. You have to be in a bus. That we don't need anybody walking down the streets. And it was always like, what? And then later on, it was like, when we would go, it'd be like, if you go to Clearwater, you got to go to the Starbucks. You have to go to this. And it was like, what? This is the exact opposite of what you told us 2 years. Because then they put a Starbucks in. They wanted people to go to the Starbucks. And because we didn't wear the uniforms that every Golden Era wore their own kind of weird color, fruit flavors of uniforms. But so we would just go into it was like Starbucks. It's like I don't have enough money to buy a Starbucks. That's like you can if you're in the Sea Org, you can buy exactly 9 Starbucks, and that's your whole week. There's no more stuff.
You got to put a PO in for a Frappuccino.
No, you can't be adding whipped cream to that or any extra shots of anything.
Are you kidding me? I don't even want a cup.
So, Mark, that was back when Miscavige wanted to take some credit for vitalizing downtown Clearwater.
Yes.
Now they opened the Flag building. There's like 3 or 4 cafes. You're not allowed to go to the Starbucks. It's practically out of business.
Yeah, it went both ways. I remember when we went down to visit, when we were hanging out with you at your house and going to Mike's house, and I had to go get something, and I was like, oh, it's right around the corner. I'm going to go to the Starbucks. It is literally the emptiest Starbucks I've ever been into in my entire life. It is the staff were sitting at the chairs at the bar when I went in. They weren't even back where the business side of the coffee is. They were.
I feel so compelled right now to Google that Starbucks over there and just call it right now and just get them on the phone and see
how many people were in there right now.
When did things change?
You're like, hey, put the guy in uniform on the phone.
Yeah. Little Mikey sent a super sticker. Thank you for that, Little Mikey.
He was there yesterday.
Yeah, he was there yesterday, and he said the Walgreens there is like boarded up.
Yeah, the Walgreens downtown is closed. It's
vacant. A Scientologist owns the property. It's vacant.
Wow.
Oh, geez, there's all that going on.
I was in the one-stop shop. There's no Sea Org members in there.
You went in there?
Isn't that Paris's store?
That's Paris.
I remember he was always at the counter whenever we would get stuff there.
Yeah,
he was always
walking
the guy
around yesterday talking to his staff and stuff. Oh yeah.
I went in there many times. I just didn't even realize that the guy was a Scientologist.
I've been at their buildings and stuff. They'd be surprised where I've been as far as their buildings and stuff recently.
Mark and Claire, you guys
don't even recognize me anymore.
You guys were at our independent gathering that we had out there in Florida. Yeah, I didn't think so.
No.
Amy, you guys weren't? Yeah, we purposely paraded around Fort Harrison. We all went into that Starbucks to kind of just naturally walk in to get a drink, and it would weed out all the Sea Org members that were in there, like mid-order, like standing there. They placed their order, waiting for it to be put on the counter, and up they spun about face.
That's how it was when Claire and I ran into some Sea Org members at a store one time.
Yeah, Tiziano went in to get some pizza at that pizza store that was up the street, and the owner literally shut his business because there was suppressive people inside his store now.
Wow. Oh, look at this comment here. Donna Rose said, I saw Yuri on Facebook yesterday. His page is gone now.
Oh my God.
His last post was 2012, and he had 2 little kids.
See, they're moving fast, man.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
yesterday, a video.
In Australia right now.
What's that? Yeah.
Well, like I said, yeah. There's some people not doing their CSP. There's somebody gaining a new Australian accent.
Chasing kangaroos right now over in Australia.
We crashed OSA's stats.
Oh my goodness. No, so OSA has a stat, and it is column inches of bad press or column inches of negative or of good press. I think it's both. If it's bad, it's that, and if it's good. But in one of the issues, in one of the OSA files, there is something about modifying the stat based on internet stuff. So if they ever ended up doing that, sorry, Osa, it's got to suck to have your stats down 7 million weeks in a row. But
they would have to have somebody just assigned to counting the stat on a weekly basis, let alone having
Can you
imagine
if it's minutes of media? If it's minutes, like they can't even keep up. Like it's impossible for them to keep up.
So
with
Mark,
the
you can just do your normal countdown 5. What was that next number?
Yeah. No, but the best one is there's a new SPTV channel. It's a guy named Denver Steve-O, and he does 9-hour videos.
I know.
Called Sleeping with Steve-O. I know. So if he's part of the SPTV network and they're counting minutes, him alone, he's just slaying their stats because he's doing 9 hours, 9 hours, 9 hours.
And it's a quick write-up too.
If they have a negative stat for YouTube, do you think it's minutes of our videos produced or minutes watched? Because we should send them a stat report every week.
Oh yeah, we should say, hey, you guys, if you need us to tell you what the stat is, we will post the numbers every month.
We'll get you to lunch on time.
You know what we should do is we should do this. This is because basically if we provide the stat and they don't count it, then they're falsifying their stats.
Yeah.
So we should post any SPTV channel. You can put it up on your community page. OSA, just go to our community pages. We should make an agreement that we'll try to, as much as possible, post it before Thursday at 2 so that they can have a tally at the end of the week. And it'll just be the analytics page, like a home page. It'll just say, in the last week I'll do it right now, guys.
We should do watch time. We should do watch time.
Okay, good. So in the last week, Osa, my watch time. The last week, Osa, my watch time. It's not that high because I haven't been doing a lot of videos. I'm going to make a disclaimer for myself to justify my down statistics. But it says my watch time was 61,500 hours, and that was 25% more than the last 7 days. So actually my stats are up, Osa, so suck it. But watch time is 61,500, and that is more than 25% more than last week. So my stats are up, Osa. Let's see what you guys have got.
I should also mention, I'm not at their buildings because I want to go there and mess with them. I drive Uber, and Scientologists want me to drive them. They go, do you know where the back of the sandcastle is? By where the water fountain thing? I'm like, oh, yeah. I don't tell them, because I made it, They ask me all these, drop them off at these different buildings at these different doors and stuff. Like, do you have any idea where that is? I'm like, yeah, I'm tracking,
Can you imagine that there's Scientologists that are going to do their OT levels that are being dropped off for that by an SP? That's just to me.
Now Osa's going to be like, no Scientologists can use Uber anymore.
Yeah. What are they going to give them? Roller skates? How they just going to get there? I don't know, because a lot of them live locally, within a few, a mile or two.
Yeah.
And they need to get there for their study and for their ordering and stuff, and they call Uber.
Yeah.
I take them right where they want to go.
Nice.
On the flip side, I've been picked up from the airport by an Uber driver who was a Scientologist.
There you go.
So it's going both ways. The Scientologists are paying the SPs, and the SPs are paying the Scientologists. Okay, guys, we're connected no matter what you want to do. We're still financing.
No Scientologists will be driving Uber. Tomorrow, no Scientologists will be using Uber. I guarantee it. It's over.
There's too many SP Uber drivers in Clearwater.
There's going to be people late for their study periods because they had to walk to the building from
in 100 degrees.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. It's going to happen.
My goodness, that would be so amazing.
Yeah.
Let's see if we got any more questions here. Oh, here's one, another starred one. Escaping the cultiverse, Question: do you all feel that cancer is so prevalent in Scientology is due to the massive amount of stress we were all under? Yeah, I don't. I was just posing the question. I don't know. Yeah. Somebody should do a study. At least if somebody started keeping track of the people that pass away and of what you could see. But I don't doubt that relying on getting rid of body thetans as opposed to going and getting treatment, I don't think that's helping the matter. At least it couldn't be helping. It's most likely hurting.
I can guarantee you that if all of us that were at the base did a saliva or did a blood draw to have our blood analyzed, I can guarantee you will at least be a little bit of shellac in there.
Yeah.
Zelac. Remember that clear stuff that was sprayed on the 2x4s?
Oh my goodness.
Or copper sulfate?
We there was so many things we
exposed ourselves to.
Yeah, but the weirdest thing was if there was asbestos, that was fine. You could rip it out by hand, do whatever you want.
And while smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, but because fiberglass was spoken horribly about by L. Ron Hubbard. If you were touching fiberglass, you needed a mask, you needed goggles, you needed gloves, you needed everything because L. Ron Hubbard said fiberglass was bad. But asbestos, he never mentioned asbestos. You guys just dig it up by hand. Don't need to just put it in the wheelbarrow and get it out of here. L. Ron Hubbard never said that asbestos was bad. You're like, oh, okay.
Guys,
sugar, and that's the other thing.
To keep track of the incidence of cancer and other things, there is actually a new website called ScientologyDeathList.org that is collecting up as much information as people can, contribute regarding people who've died in Scientology, cause of death, age of death. As of right now, the information they've collected, the average age of death of a Scientologist is 50 years old.
Wow.
That's just based on the stats that they have, the data that they have. If they do an average, that's what it comes out to.
That's right.
Wow.
So anyway, they're doing their best to stick to some sort of scientific method over there, and they're verifying information before they include it in their accepted list of numbers. But if anyone wants to report information over there, submit it directly to them at ScientologyDeathList.org.
Yeah, I'll just put it.
Remember, there was an analysis done on the medical at Flag because the amount of money and the amount of people getting sick was so high. It was getting so high that analysis was done, and it was found that 90% of the money that was going to medical was for people who had done the upper levels of Scientology.
Wow.
Yes, and they didn't know the why, but they just knew the outness that's what was a fact.
That's funny because they did a study at the base to find out why people were escaping, and the people who had escaped. Claire's computers are talking to her.
I'm going to jump out. I'll be right back.
Okay, great. They did a survey of all of the base staff who had ever escaped. And the most common denominator of all of those people was that they had done the running program or they had done superpower. Those were the two things that almost all of those people had in common. Superpower. Wow. Remember, there was a bunch of people at the base that did the superpower pilot before it went to Florida.
Which included the running program.
They did the running program and they did superpower. And I was one of those people. I did the running program at the base. And then when I started talking to people that escaped, I go, did you do the running program? They go, I did the running program. Did you do the running program? Yeah. And I go, well, it it's not hard to put the pieces together. We ran away. We did the running program, then we ran away.
I did the running program.
You remember when the order came down that we all had to do our life orientation course to figure out our hats in life?
Yeah.
And how that backfired because everybody started realizing what they wanted to do in life.
And it wasn't being at the base. It was
I want to be a musician. I want to be a shoe shiner.
I want to be an artist.
It seriously backfired. My threats list grew exponentially because suddenly all these people were considered other fish.
Yeah, they would literally be like
applying Scientology.
Yeah, they were like, I realized what I want to do, and it's not being here.
It's not being a WDC, being a Seymour Gold. I want to go. Oh yeah.
Jackson, it was also that survey that was done that was to find out if you wanted to live on the base or live off the base.
We did a whole video about that.
That was the second most miserable day on that base, as far as I'm concerned. It was one was the flood day, and the second when everybody bought in.
It was off-base, hit-base survey.
During Saturday renos, hey, we need you to fill out this survey. Just need to have it done, be it done. And it was all collected, take it back up to Dave's desk, and he was sitting there and going, that piece of shit, this piece of shit, that piece of shit, and just, oh my God.
Yes. Good times. Good times.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, we got some more questions. Japan of Green Gables question. I don't make much money. I don't have a car. There is only a mission near me, no org. Am I still able to help the Aftermath Foundation in some way? Yeah, if you're a volunteer and you're in a certain location and you're just there to help, like, hey, if even if you had like, I don't want to say any specific thing because it could be anything, but if you had a spare room or if you had a couch for somebody to sleep on for a night or two, it literally, when we have someone who's trying to get away from someplace or is trying to get to another place, it's usually they're trying to get away from either where they're living and working as a Sea Org member or Scientologist, and they're trying to get to where maybe some family members or a friend is, and they just need some places to stay until we get them to where they're going to land. And yeah, if some people have cars, it's picking somebody up from an airport and taking them somewhere. But when we try to figure out the logistics of how we're going to get the person from A to B, we look at the volunteer list and we see who's in either of those two areas to try to match up. We're doing it manually. We don't have like the Uber, algorithm to like match up the driver with the person who's being picked up. We don't have that. We have to go through the list. So it's whatever. If you don't have money to donate, then you can volunteer if you want to be able to. And correct me if I'm wrong, Claire, but we have called on volunteers in many, many occasions to pick somebody up or have somebody stay with somebody, or we have used the volunteers to do this.
Yep. And even just watching the Serge documentary, even just watching the Serge documentary supports the fundraiser, right? Isn't that right, Aaron?
Yeah, just watching it is just watching the documentary supports the foundation because it's a fundraiser video. So any of the revenue from that video goes straight to the fundraiser.
Yep.
Joni Cummings says, here's a question. What would happen to OSA if all of Clearwater left Scientology? Well, here's the thing. I think most, for people that don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but the Scientology organization in Florida, I guess just if you call it FLAG or the FLAG land base, the FLAG land base makes more money, that one location makes more money than all of Scientology's organizations combined. Just FLAG. And the way they do that is when you get to a certain levels, the only place they're allowing you to do this OT level or this auditing or the superpower or the running program, the only place you can do that is in Clearwater. So they're flying people in to Clearwater to do the services. And then when they paid for and done those services, they go back home. So there might be a few hundred Scientologists that live in Clearwater. They're actually going and doing services at the Flag Land Base. And I don't think they're all doing it at the same time. I think they have, I don't know, Aaron, you or Matt or Amy might be able to comment more accurately on how many public are there at the Flag Land Base.
Oh, we spoke to someone who has literally been there as a trainee within the year. He said the course rooms during the day are about 10% occupied.
Wow.
20% at most occupied.
So just a smattering of people.
Yeah.
Wow. So so that can't be a good thing. the trainees, Aaron was talking about these trainees that are, which proves the point that if they're full of it, because if the course rooms are 10% full, all of the trainees could just go and study in the course rooms during the day like normal humans. They wouldn't need to do
and they
that
have
at
the
night.
entire Oak. You guys remember before the Flag building was opened, the Oak Cove Hotel was the services building. Okay?
That's right.
So they could just put all the trainees in the Oak Cove Hotel. There's no reason to make them study at night.
What do you think they're making them doing it at night? So they don't see them, or they can't talk
they
to
don't
people?
see how empty Flag's course rooms are.
Oh,
they don't see
the
that
trainees don't. They're hiding the course rooms from the trainees.
They're hiding their own shit from themselves.
Because they're supposed to go back and their orgs are supposed to be booming, and they're getting their asses kicked because their course rooms and the orgs are only 10% full. They don't want them to see that management's main training facility is also 10% full.
So if the trainees studied during the day, they would see that they were the only people in the course rooms, basically.
Yes.
I get it. That's crazy.
Wow. I'm talking,
And
there's
the lights are
bubbles
gonna go out
within
soon.
bubbles within bubbles
Yeah,
in this
yeah,
joke.
for real.
They're literally
Mark,
keeping the staff
it's a
members
house
in their
of
own
cards.
bubble.
Amy and,
It's a
and
house
Claire
of
and Mark.
cards. It's all going to come tumbling down.
You guys remember when base study orders would come out and get the whole property, everybody, all the base staff get revamped to go back to study, get your 2.5 hours in every day, start doing your. That even went. Remember when Dave himself sat in the course room? Guillaume Yeager.
I've
Never seen him in a course room my whole entire life.
Hands down, I saw him myself. He lasted no more than 2 days. When Penny Mace come by, give him a target, set his target for the day. That was just observing, like oil and water happening.
Was that in 1974? Because I would explain it.
Yeah, it was in the early 90s. But he became the victim of his own directive, where we were trying to come together as a base, as one team. Everybody knows what the other team members doing and thinking and coordinating their body. Anyway, he's not going to go down that path. But yeah.
I love how Aaron. I love how Jackson started explaining what a team member, and then he just snapped into the flag order and started reading.
That happens to me all the time. I shared a win at the end of course. You know how like at the end of the course, did anyone have any wins they'd like to share? Yeah. And David Miscavige was in the course room. That's how I know he was in the course room. And I shared a win or whatever, and he's like looking at me like. Meh.
And to think he didn't do it himself. The hip hip hoorays. Hip hip hooray! Remember that at the end of course? He did it.
I was the supervisor doing all that.
Yeah.
Yes, you were.
That's it. Turn in your student points.
Yeah.
Put
Mark your
materials
graphs
away. Blah blah
put
blah.
your dictionaries. Put your clay tables away. Yeah, the whole 9 yards, man.
This is also a good one. JPH wife says, smoking, the cheapest chemical-filled food, niacin poisoning, and lack of medical care is killing them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's true. Scientologists, because L. Ron Hubbard smoked many, many packs of Cools a day. If you want to be cool in Scientology, you got to smoke cigarettes. It's a weird.
You got something to say on that too. You weren't allowed to smoke outside at Flag, and so you had to smoke when you went to have a meal. And the ceiling was a low ceiling. It was like 7.5 foot tall. So all the staff would get in there and light up the cigarettes. And by the time you walked in to start your meal, for real, there'd be a cloud for the top 3 feet of that room. You couldn't even hardly see across the room. There would be so much smoke in there from cigarettes. Because everybody they've been waiting all day to get their fix on the cigarettes. And as soon as they got into the lunchroom, they were all like on it.
That happened. That was also the same at the HGB, which is on Hollywood Guarantee Building in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You could only smoke on the 6th floor during a meal.
Yeah.
And the 6th floor, people would go in there and literally you had to like carve your way to your dining table.
Well, I remember when you could smoke in your office in LA, and when the rule changed, because it was like, I think it was like because the building was brand new. We had just renovated it. In like 1989, it was just like brand spanking new. And then midway, it was just like, no more smoking inside. You can only smoke on the 6th floor. And it's like, why can we smoke on that floor, but we can't smoke on the other floor? It's like, we just want to ruin one floor of the building, not all the floors.
See, it's studying in the course room with all the base executives too would get them exposed for little isms about them. I don't know if you guys knew that little thing that Ken Delderfield had about him. Then when he'd be sitting there reading a book and knuckle deep, so to speak.
In the course room?
In the course room, and he would sit there and clean his finger. He would like actively eat boogers on course.
Oh my goodness!
Thank you for that, Jackson.
Thanks for that, Jackson. I think I think YouTube's going to demonetize the video just for you saying that, just as bad form.
And
just like
should.
I'm just helping people understand what it was like in reality of being a base staff member, because it was like, and forever when I'd go up and see Deld, when I would handcuff him to his chair. I don't know if you remember that, but I was ordered to handcuff and chain him to his chair. I can't get it out of my head. Don't touch his fingers.
Oh my goodness. You know, the only thing I remember,
telling
of course,
us about his picking his nose. Meantime, you chained him to his chair.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you didn't know about that?
And he's the bad guy because he picked his nose. What about the guys?
I was telling you while I'm doing it.
Jackson, get over here. My hands are tied up. I need a hand. Get up in there.
While I was doing it, I had to steer clear of his fingers. That was just what was running in my head.
Were they
Why you were tying him down to be tortured?
Were they velvet handcuffs?
No. They were handcuffs off my Sam Brown belt. I got ordered to go up there and handcuff by Dave.
Okay.
Why?
Because this was when the OEC was getting, you remember when the OEC volumes or executive course was getting done, and then it was released, and then there was a lot of typos discovered, and they had to get those little stick-on edit pages. They would send them out to the pages.
Right, the addendum stickers.
Yeah, the stickers, and that was Ken Dilderfield.
After it was produced.
After it was produced and released, it was like, hey, wait a minute, this policy's missing a complete sentence here. And then Ken Dilderfield, because he was staying up all night, lost. Anyways, so he was redoing it again, and he was just basically falling short on getting compliance to Dave. So Dave, because every time he called down there for him, he wasn't in his desk. He was off talking to Horwich or somebody down in the ranchos. And so he said, handcuff him to his chair. So I got ordered. I had to go get a chain and a set of handcuffs. And I had to figure out how to get this chain so he couldn't leave his chair and call up compliance. And I was like, I sat there telling him, I'm sorry I'm doing this. And I said, I told him, I'm leaving a little loose unless you got to go to the restroom.
Oh my goodness.
But I got ordered to handcuff him to his chair.
What the hell?
Ronnie Jr. Ronnie Jr. was in that office watching
Ron
me do it.
Miscavige Jr.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
When Ken was Materials Executive International.
Yeah.
He was like a senior executive when that happened.
God, a rough looking one on top of it. That guy was, he was beat down. But anyways, I'm sorry about the...
That's okay. It's okay. I was more joking. Fun and Funky says, question, does the Aftermath Foundation help anyone in any country? Yes, in fact, we just recently got somebody from another country back to the States. So, yes, we do help people in any country.
I think if you're on planet Earth, we are here to help, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
By the way, I mean, we can tell everyone, I mean, not the name, but it was from as far away as Australia, helped them get back to their family in the United States.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Fun fact, the country with the 12th lowest mortality age in the world has an average age at death of 58 years. That puts Scientology mortality age below that.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Right.
Scientology has
actual statistics.
Oh, hey, somebody said we just hit 22,000.
Nice.
Yay.
Perfect. Yes, awesome. And also, just so you guys know, we'll try to keep you updated. Depending on what country you're in, YouTube may or may not allow you to donate directly to the fundraiser that we're doing. So if you see the fundraiser button on the video and you try to donate and you're not able to, you can just go directly to the aftermathfoundation.org and you can donate there, which many, many people have. And I think the last I knew, we were up to an additional 8,000 that had come in from people donating directly to the foundation. And we're just saying in the last 2 days, we're counting that as part of this fundraiser. So much.
Yes, it's awesome. And for everybody asking, Serge is doing amazing. He's actually starting at community college in the fall.
Wow.
Yes, so he will be getting a degree, and he's doing very, very well. So,
and just so you guys know, he is reading the comments on his video. So if you go to the video and write a comment, if you want to send him a message or you just want to give him a thumbs up or a go get him or whatever you want to do, he is reading the comments and he is seeing what you guys are writing. So people say, oh, can you pass this on to Serge? You could just say, Serge, I just wanted to tell you blah, 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 and he will see it. So
yes.
I don't know that he has an account that's not like, user 78923. I don't know. But if you see some random person saying thanks, that could be him. I don't know how that part's working. I told him he could answer if he wanted to. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yep. And also a few people asked if they could send him a card or a note or something. You certainly can. I would say send it to the physical address listed on the Aftermath Foundation website. We're obviously not at liberty, nor would we give out his personal address, but we will absolutely make sure it goes to him. So thank you.
Yes. JPH wife says, also, secondhand smoke is even worse. And if DM smokes unfiltered Camels and has asthma, he could easily pass from an asthma attack triggered by the cigs, even with an oxygen tank in his office. Yeah, I don't know if he's a smoker these days or not. He kind of went back. He kind of flip-flopped on that over the years. So everybody'd be smoking and he'd be smoking, and then he'd stop, and then he'd tell everybody else.
And he would make everybody else.
Yeah, he'd tell everybody else, you can't smoke inside. You can't. It's horrible for you. And
so Ray Midoff hated that because he smoked like a chimney with those more cigarettes.
Yeah. So then everybody would stop, and then he'd start smoking again, and then everybody'd start. It was ridiculous. I can think of at least 2 or 3 times that happened when I was there.
Yep.
Whistleblowing good witch. Question. How do you lovely people deal with the blinding rage that hits from the betrayal, abuse, and insanity? We're just used to it.
I have a great answer to that. We help other people get out.
Help other
That's
people.
what we do.
Right.
Yeah. And we talk about it.
And we sit here and laugh with each other about the course rooms and the little isms with our one's hood.
We would always joke when Aaron and I or Mike and I, we're all hanging out and we'd be telling stories and stuff. We'd always say, this is the show that we should do. This is the show right here. Us just telling these crazy stories about all these weird things that happen there. So Cedar Duvall says, niacin overdose caused me to go temporarily blind on 2 separate occasions, and now I have permanent neurological damage and slight vision loss. I completed my first Purif at 9 years old.
Wow.
Why put a 9-year-old on the Purif? I mean,
it's a moneymaker.
Yeah, it's $2,500.
I know that, but I'm just saying, with a normal person, why would you even do that? It's just ridiculous. And I'm sorry to hear that, because that's really screwed up. Mm-hmm. My doctor said, hey, have you ever considered suing Scientology for medical malpractice because of this whole purification and niacin thing? And the damage that it caused, because the damage wasn't after I came out, it was while I was there, Scientology, because of your medical malpractice crap.
Yeah, when I was 12, I had to redo the Purif because I went to an AC/DC concert and got secondhand smoke from all the weed that was smoking, and I actually felt high.
They made you do the Purif.
I told my soup the next day, and
so that was classified as a drug reversion, in other words.
Yeah, probably. Right. Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
I know.
And
had
not
to
mention, let's not skip the fact that you had to redo it at age 12. You said, meaning you'd already done it before.
Yeah, we're gonna circle back to this, but Aaron, what do you want to say?
It just occurred to me that so many of the people who work in the Office of Special Affairs, even at OSA Int, because they're so walled off from what happens at Int, they have no idea how many of these RTC folks and Int folks have blown. And I just think they ought to know, who are some of these people in RTC who have blown and come back? Just off the top of your head.
Well, they can start looking in our Int-based yearbook.
Yeah.
Hold on. Claire, we didn't hear anything that you said.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
So Sue Gentry Wilhair escaped and came back. Let's see who else.
Jan Weiss escaped and never came back.
Yeah, Leslie Wurstel escaped and came back, I think. I doubt she's still in Religious Technology Center now, but either way.
Serena
Jasmine Fiondica was she was the head ethics officer, and she escaped. Melissa Bilsma was her successor as the director of inspections and reports for Religious Technology Center. She blew and didn't come back. I was going to say,
weren't there trainees? There was what was that? Javier, or what was that?
Javier Montez. He was the RTC IGMAA at Flag.
That's like a police officer for RTC.
Yep, in Clearwater. He escaped, and actually, I just heard about him recently that he's now lives in Oregon and does construction work. And literally had not heard of him since 1996.
And who was that?
His name was Javier.
Javier Montez.
He was at RTC training. I think it was after your time.
Deborah
Jackson.
Friedman is another RTC person
that escaped.
Chris Geider escape? He was IGMAA.
Yes.
But he escaped when he was in gold.
Didn't Yvonne also escape as IGMAA?
Yeah,
Yvonne
I think
Gonzalez?
so.
And that's why she tried or she was thinking about it.
Did she make it to IGMA? I thought she was during internal security up there.
Maybe that's over IGMAA.
I think she was IGMA, and then she became during internal security.
She was under. She was on watch because she blew, and I.
Oh, Tammy Wyckoff. Tammy Wyckoff is one who more recently, she was the reports officer. She escaped and was brought back, and so she's there currently. She's probably still the reports officer to this day.
Marty Rathman blew.
Marty Rathman. Oh yeah, that's
twice.
a classic example. Shannon Komodo
out through my gates
was Marty's communicator.
God, I can't believe that didn't hit me in the face there.
Yeah, we could start naming off OSA people who escaped. OSA, RTC.
Ben Shaw blew.
What about Tommy Davis? Tommy
Davis escaped.
Did you know that Barbara and Nori they had a bet is which one was going to leave first?
No.
With each other? Yeah.
And
Nori
won.
And Nori.
Oh, Nori Matsumoto.
I mean, you imagine that they're up there in the villas having this discussion with each other secretly.
No, I can't believe it.
Yeah, no, and Barbara being the elder that she is, that was by default. Nori was like, "Dude, you go. I don't got a new pair of Nikes."
How about Angie Blankenship?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Angie Blankenship. She was in RTC.
Yeah, she took off. She got pregnant by some non-Scientologist.
Yeah, Chuck
right?
B.
No, he was a Scientologist. He just wasn't a Sea Org member. Yeah,
he was a messenger. No, he was a messenger. He was Amy. He was her junior when Amy Blankenship fired into PAC on the. What did I say?
Amy. That's okay.
When Angie Blankenship fired on the mission. She was in charge of the CMO mission for the LA org grand opening. Her mission second was Blake Mooney, who was married to the DCO CMO PAC. Blake was a messenger, and they blew together and went out too deep together.
That's work oriented.
Poor Chantal. Amy comes from Int and steals her husband.
No, wow. Angie.
You keep calling her Amy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't get it mixed up.
But the list should be who hasn't blown.
Yeah. I did post.
That would be easier to track.
When I was first posting as Blown for Good on a website called Operation Clambake back in 2005, late 2005, 2006, I actually had a base crew list with everyone's individual phone numbers, the people that had phone numbers that Dave could get a hold of, and I posted the entire list.
Remember that? I printed it.
and I would every once in a while I would go through and I would update the list and I would say blown, escaped, left Scientology, and the list more and more. I bet if I went back and looked at it now, probably 90% of those people are long gone now.
Because you remember your pseudonym Billy Roll, right?
Bill Roll, yes.
Bill Roll is
that's who I was trying to reach. When you were posting that stuff, I was like, this is so beautiful. There's somebody right now reporting and driving danger. And I was like, hey, Billy, it's me, Jackson. Do you know me?
Yes.
I got to tell you real quick. But before I was declared, right, and there was some Scientologists that I was like trying to get him to get out, right, and I go, listen, and these are people with staff history, the business side of Scientology, not theory-weedy nonsense. I go, look, listen. How do you explain so many people that worked for decades at INT under David Miscavige, not only leaving the Sea Org, but leaving Scientology altogether? It doesn't make sense. It's supposed to be better up there. Sanity, no public screaming and crying and all this stuff. And the justification was, when you're at a level that high, your overts weigh on you so more heavily because your evil deeds have such a greater impact on the world that it's very easy to cave in and blow. I was like, oh, you cannot reason with these people.
No. Yeah. Here's the other obvious thing about. Go ahead.
Sorry, can I just say one thing? I thought of one other name that we need to add to the list of who's blown actually probably more than any other Sea Org member.
I thought of someone too.
Is David Miscavige. He's gone to Scotland.
Yeah,
He's never had approval. He's never. Just
he didn't do any CSWs.
He didn't have approval.
He's suddenly at a Super Bowl game.
Yeah.
You know, it is, I will say, he didn't write he didn't write proposals to be able to go. But when we would hear at the Imp base, because we would have to do things when there was logistics involved with his activities when he'd be out traveling. And so when we would find out that he's snowmobiling with Tom Cruise and Telluride, you know, while we're slaving away at the Imp base, and all these pictures have to come in that need to get retouched and all this stuff of him and Tom, and they would come in and we'd see him. We'd be like, yeah, that's Dave snowmobiling.
Okay, I didn't tell you when I walked in.
And we would see that, and we would be like, what the fuck is he doing snowmobiling?
Well,
what?
I said the same crap when I walked into up at the ship, that little room in the bar room, the round table that was in there. Yeah. Okay, I walk in there. Tom and Dave are there with Bonnie, who was their server, their food provider. Yeah. And they both had a rubber band of bills that fat sitting on there. He said, check this out. Dave said, check this out, Jackson. And they both proudly put it down there. And I was like, holy smokes, yeah.
I swear.
They just came back from Vegas gambling. 60 grand. 60. That number blew my mind. And they just walked out of the room strutting.
David Miscavige, your time is coming, Mr. We're going to follow the money.
Yep.
I was with Tom DeVock in a marina in Virginia, and we're walking along, and there's this huge yacht. You know, one of these ones that are like, I don't know how many millions of dollars that you would just look at and go, holy smokes, right? So I commented, like, what a beautiful yacht this thing was. And Tom said, just nonchalantly, he said, yeah, I went out with Dave for a week one time on one that looked just like that. And Dave had hired the whole crew and the cooks and everything, and it was just so he could go scuba diving. And I'm like, what? He said, yeah, he just rented the whole thing out with staff, with cooks, just so he could scuba dive and take some photographs and stuff on, for a lark for a week.
When that cruise birthday party happened aboard the Freewinds, the Tom Cruise birthday party that was thrown for Tom Cruise in 2004, and another one was done in 2005. But at the 2004 one, that yacht was hired and it went with the Freewinds. Tom and Dave didn't stay on the Freewinds. They stayed on the yacht. And when they wanted to go and do one of the events, they just moved to the Freewinds, and they would go in the theater and they do stuff there.
This makes me sick.
But they were living on the yacht. That birthday party for Tom Cruise, it was like $300,000 for that one birthday party for Tom Cruise on the Freewinds.
That kind of explains
why they flew in a whole restaurant, right?
Yeah,
they flew in the entire restaurant to cook for Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
Mark,
a sushi restaurant from Santa Monica was airlifted to the Freewinds cruise ship.
Scientology's expense.
That explains where he was when I was up at Eagle watching the RTC muster, and Dave was not at muster. Now I know where he was.
No, when I asked Claire that, I said, so like, what was it like at RTC musters? Would Dave like get up in front of the crew and yell at them and all that stuff?
Muster wouldn't start till he showed up.
No, but say it, Claire.
Go ahead, Claire.
He only came to like 5 musters in the entire 8 years that I was in RTC.
He didn't even go to musters for RTC.
He did come a few times and yell very loudly and throw a complete fit. And in fact, someone I was talking to recently was on for the Where's Shelley series was reminding me of a time when Dave Miscavige went to the RTC muster, threw a complete fit, left. Shelley was working to pick up the pieces, and then he came out and was yelling at her to knock it off and get up here, and like he was essentially treating it like as if she was undoing the trauma he just inflicted.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to go back to a comment here real quick. Kelly Copter says, you guys going to Serge's graduation reminded me of mine. I wasn't going to go because I didn't want to go by myself. My chosen family came, and it meant the world to me. The smile on his face says it all.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you, Kelly. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. This is another one. Elegance, by the way, is Aftermath Foundation a tax-deductible organization for a large donation that we would like to make? Yes, it is a 501c3 non-profit tax-deductible organization.
Yeah, God, I was rewatching the after show. Somebody donated $1,000.
Wow.
Rewatching it with the comments going, you could start seeing the donations and the timestamp when they were showing up. $520. $1,000. Somebody just anonymously.
Somebody also anonymously donated $5,000.
Yeah. No, I'm just. That was the first one that blew my mind.
If you want to make a donation to the Aftermath Foundation, you can do so in the fundraiser button for this video, no matter which video you end up watching, whether it's this one or if you watch the Serge video itself. If you click on the fundraise button, you can donate through there, or you can go to the aftermathfoundation.org and you can make a donation directly through the Aftermath Foundation.org website.
And all of us on the board are volunteer basis, just to reiterate that, because people have asked a few times, and we're very proud of that fact.
Yes, Kimberly Johnson.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
If anybody from OSA needs a free Uber ride to the airport, I'm available.
You're the man.
Yay, Matt! Amazing.
Kimberly Johnson says, question, I'm curious, did you all celebrate Christmas in Scientology? A few of you have mentioned it, but I wasn't sure if that was after you left. Anybody want to answer that? How awesome our Christmases were?
Oh, yeah. Well, when we had them, but it was translated into Sea Org style. Never once were we honoring and representing what Christmas means. It was just more of, it's a fucking day off for us.
Yeah, and Christmas Scientology means you don't have to work. No, I was just going to say.
A day off together in the same building on the property.
We got to wear normal civilian clothing instead of
instead of a 15-minute meal break. Get ready, guys. 45 minutes.
But even then, by my recollection, in 1998, I think it was roughly around there, is when Christmas was canceled altogether because David Miscavige said we were off purpose for trying to celebrate Christmas right before the New Year's event.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, we all had to be focusing.
His dog and pony show got in the way of having a good time.
That was the same with the year 2000 too, because I remember sitting there sitting in my office, totally depressed, looking at the clock, and it went from, 11:59 to midnight, and it's just like so depressing.
Yes.
Yeah.
People get really confused when they hear Scientologists talk about celebrating Christmas. And it's like, look, if you live in the United States, you either celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah, pretty much unless you're like a Jehovah's Witness or a Seventh-day Adventist or whatever the religions are where you're
Midnight
not allowed
Mass.
to celebrate any holidays.
Yeah.
In America, Christmas is a capitalist event. It's not a religious holiday. It's a day for selling and a day for buying. Or a month for selling and a month for buying.
Well, I'll beg to differ. I've actually gone to a couple of my friends to Midnight Mass, which was an
Well, no, I understand. There are people who genuinely do celebrate. But for Scientologists, it's just about buying and getting gifts. That's all.
And then Common World, it starts in September, by the way.
Inside the Sea Org at the Int base, what we would do is draw a name out of a hat, and then you're assigned one person. Yeah. And then that's who you're going to get a gift for. So that's what you did
in, where was that?
The KK list.
Yeah, it was called KK. You're doing KKs, which is Kris Kringle.
You never remember that, Mark?
I do, but it was like in Golden Era Productions, it was like a $5 gift. Here, I got you.
Yeah, it was almost nothing.
Well, I was going to say, even $5, that would be like the high end. Like your Kris Kringle would give you a Snickers, be like, Merry Christmas.
Well, you're supposed to give them a little gift each day up to Christmas, and that would be.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it would literally be like, here's a pack of Rolos. It's like this is a giant waste of everyone's time.
You would just wrap your slice of cheesecake that we had that one time a year, and instead of you having it, someone got 2 slices because that's what you give for your. Oh my God!
It is kind of like prison. Even when I was talking to Serge, we were talking about just got to get to that next meal.
It was whatever you could get out of the canteen, because you couldn't go shopping. So it's like whatever.
Talking about Christmas in the Sea Org, we do have to mention it is funny that Christmas, the beer and cheese party, is the one day a year when Sea Org members look forward to getting absolutely trashed, filthy drunk. It happens every year. It's a debacle every year. Bad decisions are made every year. And yet, because L. Ron Hubbard said you have to have a beer and cheese party, they have a beer and cheese party.
Yeah.
They knocked that out at Flag. What they did was they would make you sit at tables with white tablecloths and all set up with candles and stuff like that. And they give you cheese. And then they have, what's that guy that plays the piano? Chick Corea would be playing his piano there. And everybody had to sit there and just kind of watch Chick for like 3 hours.
He said it was torture.
What happened to the freaking party? There was no more party.
At the Int base, we had a beer and cheese party right before I escaped. I escaped January 5th or 4th. and we had a beer and cheese party like a week or so before that. And the only thing it was missing was beer and cheese. There was no beer and no cheese at the party. I was like, it was sun-kissed orange sodas and Ritz crackers. That's literally was the spread. And they weren't even refrigerated. It's like somebody went to like Costco or something, just went and dumped down a bunch of cases of orange soda, and there was just a bunch of boxes of Ritz next to it. It was just like, Mark
was so angry he licked a bunch of those Ritz
I did lick a bunch of those crackers just in spite. No.
I got a Christmas story for you. There was a mission sent to Los Angeles to get the RPF to renovate the second floor of the complex so that they can move management from Flag into Los Angeles. So these two missionaries show up, and I'm on the RPF, and I'm running the decks as an RPFer. And they didn't really know what they were doing. And they were like, we need to get this thing done. We're going to need the RPF. And I said, and they were saying, I said, well, if you want to really get the RPF behind this, you need to offer them Christmas off if they get this thing done on time. So they were like, okay, yeah, that'll do it, right? So we get approved to have Christmas off. And so we're in the RPF space, and we're all kind of, watching movies and stuff like that. And meanwhile, the staff had Christmas canceled because the staff was so bad. And we heard that somebody from the CMO was headed to the RPF space to let us know that our Christmas was canceled. All the RPF jumped to the wall behind the RPF space, and everybody took off downtown. The place was gone in about 10 seconds.
That's true. God. That's true. In the Sea Org,
to the movie theaters and the restaurants and stuff.
It's totally true. In the Sea Org, if you get approval to do something, and then you just get out of there and go do it. If you hear through the grapevine that it's going to get canceled, then you just disappear so that you won't you won't have known that it was canceled. So you'd be like, oh, well, no, yeah. Once it was approved, I skipped town. I was gone for the whole day, so I didn't know it was disapproved. And then when you get back, it'd be like, why did you go? It'd be like, I have it right here. It's approved.
Yeah,
be like,
it's approved.
No, somebody went to go tell you, but you got away before we could get. Oh, I don't know anything about that. I was just doing my thing. Sorry. Peggy Dooley said, somebody just donated 500 here just now. Thank you for that.
Amazing.
Thank you. Good news, Peggy. I like that. Wow. I like hearing about that. Yeah, we're up to, we're over 22,000 on the video right now. And I don't know if I have to refresh. I don't know.
It'll be exactly. 22.5. So
no, I think the 500 is what put us over the 22.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, awesome.
Well, that's great news. Thank you for that. Any other questions? I don't see anything else. I think we had a good chat, guys. If you guys, unless anybody else has anything else for us, I think we're gonna tie this one up, put a bow on it.
Awesome. Yeah. Don't forget to like and share the Serge story too. We're trying to spread that far and wide.
Yeah, I don't have. I should probably set up banners for everybody's different channels. But if you go to Amy's website, it's ScobiePublishing.com. That's where her book is on sale there. And then you can also go to Amy's YouTube channel. If you aren't watching on her channel, please subscribe to Who is Amy Scobie. And otherwise,
she updated that.
Oh, what is it now?
It's Queen Bee Scobie.
Oh, okay.
Right, Matt?
Oh, he muted again. She muted you guys, Matt. She muted you, Matt. She muted you.
Yeah, that was the church took over that Who is Amy Scobie, and they used that to kind of divert you off to some like gambling joint or something.
No way.
Yes. So she had to change that.
So she changed it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And then you could go to Aaron's channel is Growing Up in Scientology, and or
Jackson.
Yeah, and then what's your channel name, Jackson?
Gary Jackson Moorhead.
Gary Jackson Moorhead. You go to
Gary Jackson Moorhead.
Perfect. YouTube. Yeah, if you guys haven't gone to all the different channels, and if you don't subscribe to the Blown for Good channel, you can go to Blown for Good. I unmuted Matt. Already unmuted you guys, Amy, because we were trying to talk to him. Every time you get up and turn him off, then we can't hear from him. Every time you get up, somehow a question comes up for Matt.
I didn't turn him off. He doesn't know how to. And hey, if it's a phone or anything electronic,
oh god,
he doesn't know anything about it.
We were doing a job, and I was like, Matt, let me see. Can you pull up your phone? He goes, oh, I didn't bring my phone. I was like, you didn't bring a phone?
I told him to bring his phone.
No. He just left it at the hotel, or he just left it behind, but he didn't bring it with him. And I was like, what if you got to do something? He's like, what I got to do?
I'm curious, Amy. You got yours and you got your earpiece in your right ear. Matt's got his in his left. Do you guys now hear in stereo?
Together, they share a brain.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm like old school. I don't want to bring a phone to a job site because then that's not what I'm there to do. I'm there to work, not
I
talk
know,
on my
it's so
phone.
funny
I
to
just
me though.
And I said, Mark is going to want to text you, and you're not going to have your phone.
It's
And
fine.
I said, good. And he'll
come find you.
Right there, you can yell in the work site and you can hear the whole damn place. So.
Yeah. Okay, guys, thank you very much for joining us today. And we will see you on the next one. And if you guys, I'll put this card up, and then you guys can put your own videos on the end card. And maybe for these multi-streams, we'll make a generic one or something. But thanks, everybody, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.